Well, good evening, everybody, and happy Easter weekend. It is Saturday here in downtown Miami, and 'tis the season, earnings season, that is. Gearing up for next week, we are going to have pretty much the main core stocks that make up the Dow Jones Industrial Average reporting earnings, or the main blue chip stocks. So we're going to have reports due from Johnson & Johnson. We'll talk about that a little bit. We have reports due from IBM, Travelers, ticker symbol TRV, Procter & Gamble, ticker symbol PG, American Express. But here's the only thing. Earnings are expected to be pretty mixed. Travelers has about a 32% EPS growth rate, while revenue is expected to dip about 3%. Procter & Gamble and American Express are forming pretty solid basing patterns, but Johnson & Johnson is pretty extended from a recent breakout. But I think the main highlight of the week is going to be on Wednesday, when we have automaker Tesla and Elon Musk, and there's probably going to be a lot of questions about Twitter on that earnings call, but the EV maker plans to report after the market close on Wednesday. A lot of analysts on Wall Street are expecting EPS to explode, almost double from last year, about $2.26 a share. Sales are seen surging 69% to $17.59 billion as the company pushes towards its year-end sales goal of $83.8 billion. So we'll see who we have in the chat, and we will get started. I see Bianca M, Dante Rose says, "Hey Tom, and buy the book." Welcome, everybody. Hope you all are doing very, very good. It is a full moon out here in Miami. Beautiful night, beautiful day. Today was about 80 degrees. And we will be walking around downtown and hopefully making our way over to Brickell. I see Otto says, "Hey Tom." Good to see you. Samantha R says, "Hey Tom and everybody." Good to see you. And our one and only pal Razzle Dazzle from California. But I think Razzle Dazzle is actually going to be making her way over to New York pretty soon. I will be back in New York maybe tail end of next week. I have some business meetings going on over there. But Razzle Dazzle says, "Hey Tom, hope you're doing well. Going on break." Oh, you're going to break your fast soon. Yeah, I forgot. It is Ramadan. Busy weekend. So we have Passover and we got Easter. So happy Easter to everybody. Samantha R, good to see you, says, "We'll be going to the Metro Mover tonight." You know, maybe. We're going to call that tentative tonight. We're going to call that tentative. But, you know, it's going to be a major week on Wall Street. Obviously, tomorrow is Sunday, so we are going to be doing our Markets a Look Ahead stream, where we are going to be covering some of the major stocks that are reporting earnings. Financials are pretty much out of the way, but the number one thing I really want to watch for next week is Bank of America. So Bank of America is going to be reporting earnings, and I think the main reason why I want to watch that particular stock is really because they have the most exposure to the United States, and here's why that matters. As interest rates continue to rise, that is going to be good for the financial sector, but more specifically, good for the banks that have the majority of exposure in the United States. So obviously, when interest rates are higher, that's very good for banks that have to lend out money so they can make more money on the spread. So we'll cover that tomorrow night as we do our Markets Look Ahead stream. Hey, NNB045 is here. It's happy Saturday night, Tom. Good to see you. NNB045, always a pleasure to have you here. Let me make sure the camera is good. Yep, I think we're good. Hey, War Walker is here, and Paulina, welcome. Good to see you, Carla. And War Walker says, "Happy Saturday twice in a row. How lucky are we?" What is up, War Walker? So, War Walker, it's not as horrible as yesterday in terms of the wind. But one thing I noticed, whenever I'm on the other side of the intercoastal, I guess you could call it, it's actually not as windy. But whenever I'm in downtown Miami, I feel like the wind is 10 times worse. Because when I'm at the ocean, when I'm at the beach, there's almost no wind at all. Hey, James Tiger is here. Says, "Hey Tom from Chicago. I'm going to New York next week for the Brooklyn Marathon." Hey, dude, awesome. You know, maybe I'll catch that. Maybe I will stream that, because I should be back in New York next week, but I'm only going to be back for a couple days. I actually have to attend a conference and I'm throwing a little bit of a get-together with some of my clients. But to be determined on that, but good to see you, James. War Walker says, is that Lizzie? Good to see you, War Walker. And Take Me to the Sea says, hey y'all, hey Tom, Dynamite Moon out for a walk. Yeah, so we're gonna see a crazy, crazy full moon tonight. The moon looks absolutely beautiful. So we will be taking a look at that. Maybe we'll get on the Metro Mover. Arturo Flores says, hello Tom. Back at it, good to see you, Arturo. So guys, check this out. This is the Paramount Tower, Paramount Building. Lit up very beautiful. WW says, hey Tom, what's going on, WW? So I pretty much took the day off today, guys, to sit down, relax. I went to a coffee shop and I spent the majority of the day reading, and I kind of needed that. So I was reading a very interesting article in Investors Business Daily about, obviously, what we hear about every day is towards EVs, right? Obviously, everybody wants to be more environmentally friendly. Everybody wants, better energy efficiencies and want to cut down on our emissions. But here's the one thing that I don't think many people think about, and that is the raw materials that go into making all these lithium-ion batteries. So I don't have the Nightbot set up for tonight to drop the link, but we will be dropping that in the Sunday night stream, the Markets to Look Ahead stream. But a lot of economists are estimating that the demand that is going to be needed to produce all of these batteries for all of these EV cars, we may not have enough lithium and precious metals to produce all of these batteries for these EVs. So, and that puts the United States in a very, very tough spot. And I'll tell you why. Because the vast majority of these rare earths don't come out of the United States. They actually come out of places, in countries around the world that are unfortunately very war torn. And a lot of these rare earths are not mined in a sustainable way. And even oftentimes, it's crazy to think about, but some of the lithium mines and things like that over the world, sometimes they use slave labor and child labor, which is absolutely not okay. So on one hand, we're making this big push towards wanting to become more sustainable and impact the environment. But if we are forced as a country to buy rare earths from these mines in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where they're using child labor, or even slave labor, that's a massive issue. And I think that's something we need to solve for going forward. And Elon Musk, obviously he leads the helm of Tesla. He's actually commented on this and is working on a solution. But I'd love to know your thoughts about that, guys. Hey, the ABX girl, good to see you, ABX girl. Thank you for joining the stream and the premiere today. Tucson is here, says, would love to see the river from the Metro Mover. We may do that tonight. Edson says, hey Tom, what's up, guy? Good to see you, Edson. Always a pleasure to have you here. Arturo Flores, WW, says, any ideas of what to do in New York City right now? And bored and alone. I understand how people feel. I don't understand how people fill their time. I mean, New York City is just the best place to just walk around aimlessly and you could never get bored. One of the things I used to do in New York, here, I'll just give you guys a quick look at 1000 Museum. It's one of my favorite buildings down here. But if you don't really know many people in New York, what I would do is try to find different coffee shops or other places where a lot of, I guess, people your age hang out, and just try to network with them, try to talk with them, strike up a conversation. You never know, you'll probably meet some really interesting and very smart and educated people, and you could probably build your network relatively fast. Hey, D is here, says, I hear, strengthen your voice again, Tom. Good to see you, D. Hey, Michelle K says, good evening, Tom, how are you? I'm doing really good. I'm doing really good tonight. I pretty much took the day off. Today. Didn't really do too much except just sort of sit down and read. And I kind of needed one of those days, so hope you all had a good weekend so far as we prepare for Easter Sunday. Wow, but check out this full moon, everybody. Hold on, let me pull off to the side. That is insane. I see By the Book, our great moderator, Sunshine After Rain. Always good to see you, Sunshine. Thank you for joining. Jamie Price says, good evening, Tom. What's going on, Jamie Price? Strider 1239 says, hasn't China been purchasing rights/land that contain rare earths? They have. You're 100% spot on that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Oops. Oh, there we go. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't have time to program the Nightbot because my computer died. But in Investors Business Daily, the cover story today was all about the good and the bad of this EV revolution, this EV adoption. Because on one hand, obviously it's good for climate change, it's good for, reducing emissions, but people have to understand, there's a lot of precious metals, there's a lot of rare earths that go into making these lithium-ion batteries. And the United States doesn't produce much of that stuff. A lot of it comes from third world countries where their mining sort of practices are not necessarily the most sustainable or ethical. And the Chinese government is obviously not known for, let's just say, being that sustainable or ethical. So obviously consumers want to feel good about their purchases of EVs. So if they know, or if they even think or suspect that some of the rare earths that are going into, making a Tesla, making a GM car, or making a Ford car is coming out of countries where it has child labor or slave labor, that's not a good look for America. So I think we're really going to need to solve for that. But if you guys want to read that article, if you go to investors.com, it is the first cover story for today. But I'll give you guys one more look at 1000 Museum. War Walker says the moonlight is very bright and beautiful tonight. It's great. Hey, Anonymous Dude 123 is here. It says, good day, Tom and all. What's up? The one and only Investigator is here. What's up, Investigator? It says, hello, Walks in Wall Street. Rock Miller 3 says, greetings from Detroit. Love Detroit. Arum Z says, happy Saturday, Tom. Thank you, my friend. Much appreciated. Hope you're having a good day as well. The ABX Girl says, even daytime brunch events are great too. Try Time Out New York or IG influencers in New York City. That's actually a really good tip. That's actually a really, really good tip. And here's the plus side, the ABX Girl's point. In the summer, there's a lot more things to do in New York. I mean, obviously in the winter, it's sort of like you're trapped in your apartment, especially during a pandemic. But during the summer, there's tons of free events to go to in Brooklyn. I used to go to a ton of free events near the South Street Seaport. So it's just really, you gotta really look for those things, and Time Out New York is a great resource. Anonymous Dude 123 says, missed your show and these Miami nights. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for being back. Sally is here. Always good to see you, Sally. Trey 3 says, April's full moon, to change it. But thank you for letting me know that. Bowser and Video Game is here. Good to see you. Pond Viewer, welcome. So could you guys let me know if the stream is still going? Sometimes, usually when people try to FaceTime me, the stream sometimes goes out. So let me know if we are still live. I may have to restart it. Hey, Sunshine After Rain, thank you for dropping the link. Jared Covey says it buffered for a bit. So here's the weird thing. If I get a call, things will be a little bit fine, but when I get a FaceTime, that's when sometimes it shuts down the stream. Oh, it's okay now, got it. Awesome, we should be good. You know what, I'm gonna see if there's a way to block all calls when I'm streaming, because usually it's either one client that hammers me relentlessly, so we'll buffer for like 14-15 minutes, because he'll call like 14 times and then he'll stop. So I have to see if if there's a way for me to block the calls. Yo, XOXX Bob says, Tom, good evening. What's up, Bob? Good to see you. Jamie says, awesome stream, Tom. Good to see you, my friend. Happy Saturday to you and happy Easter Sunday tomorrow. Hopefully everybody's going to have a good one. Jeff says, do you think it's a bad time to invest in real estate? So that's actually a good topic. It's actually a good topic. So here's what I think. I don't think there's any time where it's inherently good or bad to make an investment. And here's what I mean by that. If you can find a property and you run the numbers on that property and the numbers work, meaning the property will cash flow, that means it's a good deal, right? It doesn't matter if where interest rates are, it doesn't matter if the housing market is on fire or there was recently a housing crash. If you can find a deal where you make it work, where the rents work and things like that, I say go for it. I say buy the deal. But here's one thing that you have to sort of watch out for, is that 10-year treasury yield is now, well, almost approaching 3%. I think we ended the week at what, 2.9, 2.87 or 2.9. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But that in turn means, because if we think about a 30-year fixed rate mortgage or 30-year fixed, it's really predicated on that US 10-year treasury. And for the first time since 2011, the yield or the interest rate on that 30-year fixed is over 5% or right about 5%. So that's probably going to put a little bit of pressure on the housing market. But, you know, and you guys know me, I tend to be sort of like an over-optimist. I tend to be optimistic no matter what, which is almost to a fault in some ways. But here's my thinking. If you're early in your career of trying to acquire assets, wouldn't you want prices to stabilize or come down at least a little bit? Because think about it like this.
Oh my goodness, wow.
Think about it like this. If you're 26, 27, or 28 years old and you're looking to acquire a property and you're trying to buy in an environment right now where people are going into bidding wars and paying in all cash, you know, wouldn't you want to sort of have prices stabilize or come down a little bit so you could scoop up really good deals? So if prices do correct, there's going to be a lot of pandemonium in the media, and just sort of like what you're seeing right now in terms of the pandemonium to the upside. So if you look at any local news agency right now, they're all running specials about nobody could afford a house, this is crazy. They're filming the lines of people waiting to get into the open house and interviewing citizens and interviewing people that are complaining about the prices of housing. That usually is right at the top of the market when you start to see those things. So that's not to deter you from, you should always be on the lookout for deals all the time. You should always, no matter what, be on the lookout for deals, but never overpay for something. So if the numbers don't work, don't buy the deal. And never forego any inspections or anything like that. Because a lot of people right now, for some weird reason, they're getting this crazy FOMO, this crazy fear of missing out. And they're thinking, oh my God, if I don't buy a house right now, I'll never get a house. You're gonna get a house. There's a house on every street corner in America. So the only thing I would say is don't really focus on in real estate, the market overall. Sort of focus on if the deal numbers work or if the numbers on your deal work. That's sort of what I'll say. Jack Shadows, good to see you. Yeah, Jack, you're right. Look at this. It looks like this is a bunch of leaves on the water or something like that. Hey, Jonathan Richards is here. Says, good evening, Tom. Hope you're well. Good to see you, Jonathan. Always a pleasure to have you in the chat. Hey, Dean says, are you still into real estate development deals in the future? Dean says, are you still into real estate development? Yes. So I think, well, what I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to get all my licenses and things like that. Maybe not to sell like individual real estate, but I want to get on the commercial side in terms of M&A deals and things like that, and maybe into real estate development down the line. But I would really like to work in M&A, trying to structure those deals or providing consultative value or something like that. But that is in the works. But good question. Dean, do you work in the real estate business? I forget. Hey, Santo is here. Says beautiful full moon over Miami. Good to see you, Santo. Daniel G says, hey Tom, good evening. So Daniel G is joining us from Buenos Aires, Argentina. So Daniel, I was having coffee today in North Beach, Miami, and I was talking to this couple that's actually visiting from Buenos Aires and they're actually looking to relocate to Miami. You know, I've met a lot of Argentinian people here in Miami. A lot of people from Argentina come to Miami for whatever reason. XOXX Bob says, Tom, never dismiss a real estate inspection. Would you buy a car without driving it? Yeah, I think you're 100% correct, Bob. And it's absolutely beyond me that people right now are buying houses sight unseen and making offers sight unseen. That's a really, really good way to get burned. That's a really, really good way to get burned. Because if you put things into perspective, there's literally a house on every street corner in America, okay? So don't overextend yourself and think that you have to, you know, over leverage yourself or get in the market just because interest rates are really low. Run the numbers. If the numbers work for you, then buy the deal. But I think a lot of people compare themselves to other investors. They're like, oh, this person is closing on a real estate deal, or my friend just bought his first single family home and I'm still renting, so that means I'm a loser. No, it doesn't. It just means everybody is on their own path at their own time. You shouldn't be comparing your finances to anybody else but your own. That is the number one way to go broke, in my opinion. So Bob, I agree with you 1,000%. 1,000%. Hey, Emily Rosales is here. What's up, Emily? Says, hey Tom, good to see you again. What do you think about Elon Musk buying Twitter? Yeah, so we were talking about that a little bit yesterday. I think it's kind of crazy. So I'll quickly give my 2 cents on that. And we sort of had a long discussion about this yesterday. But Tesla is actually reporting earnings on Wednesday, and I could probably guarantee you most of the questions on Tesla's earnings report is probably not going to be about Tesla at all. They're probably about the potential deal activity with Twitter. But regardless, here's what I think. I do personally think Elon Musk's head is in the right place. I really do think he wants to change Twitter for the better. But here's my take. I don't care if it's Elon Musk or any other billionaire. I think if somebody could come in and step in here and improve the operations of Twitter, deal. Twitter is actually my favorite social media platform. I see the most potential and the most value with Twitter. Excuse me. I see the most potential and most value with Twitter. That's the social media platform I use the most personally, is Twitter. But the main problem with Twitter is that they have done an absolutely horrible job of monetizing their platform, like really, really bad job. And that's why the stock price for the last 10 years or 9 years has been trading flat. So the shareholders have been getting screwed from Twitter because they've done such a poor job of monetizing. So if somebody could come in there and improve the operational efficiencies of Twitter, help them monetize a little bit better while fixing some of the things in relation to people getting banned and a lack of freedom of speech, I'm all for it. But the only caveat, I don't care if it's Elon Musk, I don't care if it's Mark Zuckerberg, I don't care who it is, but I'm for it because obviously something is not working at Twitter. You could obviously tell by the stock price. You know, just compare Twitter's stock price to the returns of Meta, which is Facebook or something like that. But I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on that. Just to quickly touch on that though, so Thoma Bravo, which is a private equity company that only focuses on enterprise software companies. So the founder is actually a Puerto Rican billionaire, Orlando Bravo. Brilliant guy, super sharp guy, totally smart guy. And I actually had the pleasure of listening to his keynote speech at the Bitcoin 2022 conference. So Thoma Bravo is in talks with actually trying to make an offer to acquire Twitter. If that happens, and if that's real, right now it's just a rumor, but if that is real and that materializes, I would be 100% for that deal as opposed to Elon Musk. I would totally want Thoma Bravo and his team, or Orlando Bravo and his team at Thoma Bravo to acquire Twitter and buy it. So here we are at FTX Arena, but what are your guys' thoughts on that? Let me know what you guys think. Hey, Kim Toys here says I'm here watching from Trinidad. Well, thank you for watching and thank you for being here. I much appreciate it. Chris Beeman, the one and only. Good to see you, Chris. Thanks for being here, Chris. Namaste says, I hope if the Elon Musk buyout of Twitter falls through that the stock crashes. That's probably Musk's backup plan anyway. That's actually a good point. That's actually a good point. Hey, Gore and Glitter says, thank you, Warwalker, and hello to you. Good to see you. Jamie Massetti says, Argentina's economy is not good, so they relocate to Miami. Yeah, and I think also their inflation is out of control. It's almost at 20% a year. NMB045 says, I wonder why South Americans like Miami. After all, most flights to and from South American pass through Miami. Yeah, well, I think it's just the economy's better here, right? I mean, if you live in Argentina, you're facing runaway inflation, unfortunately. So I think you would much rather park your money here. So this is the Freedom Tower. It's one of my favorite buildings here. Hey, Dutchman is here. It says, Tom, hello, and I agree with you 100%. Good to see you, Dutchman. Paradoral says, does Elon Musk support the ethnic cleansing of Russian-speaking Ukrainians since 2014? Like Fox News and CNN, Twitter supports the killer Hillary Clinton. Jared Covey says, all cash offer with no inspection sounds like fast way launder PPP loan fraud. Oosh. I mean, you may be right. So Jared, to your point about that, I think, and I predicted this at the beginning of the pandemic, I'm like, all of this PPP money, 90% of it's going to be total fraud. So I think there's going to be hell to pay with a lot of this PPP stuff. I think it's going to be a disaster, horror show. Take Me to the Sea says, come on, climate, the great Latin community. Good to see you. Let's see who I missed here. Daniel G. Says a lot of Argentinian running away from inflation and the administration sucks. Yeah, I mean, it's too bad. It's really too bad. The people I were talking to today that were from Argentina, they were so happy to be here. They were like, I freaking love the United States. It's so much better here. They really love Miami. But yeah, you're right. But Daniel G, hopefully things will improve. Hey, Dan McLaren says, good evening, Tom. Welcome. Do I recommend becoming a real estate agent? I don't know. I think if that's the career path you want to take, then I would say, yeah, go for it. But I think I'm going to get my real estate license just to break into the industry and learn about it a little bit more. Because like I said, I really want to try to get in on a lot of M&A activity or do M&A deals in real estate. But we'll see. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. Anna says, happy Saturday. Just watched everything, everywhere, all at once. Super trippy. Must watch. Hemp Lord says, Miami is the shiznits. Good to see you. Hemp Lord Beto says, Miami equals paradise for South Americans. So the Paramount Tower actually has the Miami Heat logo on it, which looks amazing. Hey, Terry Docker says, hey Tom, big wind in Vegas today. You know, Terry, the last time I was in Vegas, it was actually the hottest recorded temperatures in the world. Yes, I'll say that again. When I was in Vegas, it was the hottest recorded temperatures in the entire world. I think it was like 126 degrees that day I was in Vegas. And the wind was so ridiculous that it was picking up the sand. And it felt like I was in a crazy sandstorm. It was actually painful. So I don't know if I could ever live in Vegas. It's too dry, but Vegas is a good time, but I just feel too isolated in Vegas. I don't know. What do you think? Jack Tripper, good to see you, my friend. Welcome. DJ Number Ones is in Sarasota, Florida. Love Sarasota, Florida. That is near the IMG Academy. A lot of good soccer players over there. Jonathan Francis, that's crazy. Good evening, Tom and company. Good to see you, Jonathan. Here, I'll show you guys the full moon once again over here. Wow, check that out. It's almost like the sun. So this is the full moon over Miami. DJ Number One says yes, soccer. Ton of big soccer players, Sarasota. Yeah, Jack's like, imagine if the AC was broken on that day. Samantha R says, I can only ever visit Vegas for vacation. Crucis says, are you on Discord and Twitch? Yes, we are on Discord. So if you click the link in the description, please, please, please join our Discord. We have so many smart people in there that like to network and connect with one another. Not only do we talk about travel between New York City and Miami, but we also help each other out with getting jobs and networking and things like that. Hey, Lizzie Hack says, hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. It's raining now. What's going on? Good to see you, Lizzie. We're walking outside the FTX Arena, where the one and only Miami Heat play. Hey, Michael Johnson is here. Says, greetings, Tom. I believe you could rip the face off of the real estate business. Well, that's the plan. That is the plan. Hey, this is our new Supreme Court Justice. Wow, that's cool. Hold on, let me get another shot of it from over here. Hold on. So I like this LCD screen. I'm actually not sure if it's an LCD screen because it's like transparent. I'll show you guys what I mean. Hold on. So this screen, it looks like it's solid, but you can see totally inside the arena. I'm not sure how they do that. I'm not sure if it's a projector or what. Crucis says, what's your name on Discord? I'm not sure, but if you click the link in the description, you'll see a link to the Discord where you could feel free to join us. Dan McLaren says, I want to eventually become a real estate developer, build market rate apartments. There's a huge need for it. Yeah, so Dan, that's sort of what I want to do too. Number one, I want to get into like big M&A real estate deals. But then I think I want to break into providing more affordable housing. Because I think one of the biggest issues in America today is the need for affordable housing. That's just my opinion. Bob says, our new Supreme Court Justice is from Miami. Is she really? I didn't know that. So I don't really know too much about her at all. I just know we have a brand new one, so that's kind of cool. DJ Number One's best beach in Florida is Siesta Key. You know, I kind of like North Beach. Have you ever been to North Beach? DJ Number One, yeah, it could be a plasma projection. Hold on, let me see. I think since we're shooting at 30 frames, it may look a little bit weird on your guys' end. It may come in like pixelated, but Jack Tripper, good to see you. Jonathan Francis, affordable housing is hard to come by. Yeah, it is, man. Elliott Wave Review says Cleveland has cheap properties where people benefit from Section 8 housing, meaning rent covered by the government. Yeah, so here's sort of here's what I would propose. Number one thing, I want to get into I want to get into the real estate business to, number one, make connections, but then essentially down the line, I want to sort of meet politicians and get to know them. Not because I'm a fan of politicians, but I think a lot of politicians are not too business savvy. And I think if good business people and good entrepreneurs also break into the real estate business, I think we can influence politicians to lift some, building permit restrictions and things like that. Because I think one of the many reasons why real estate prices are really going through the moon. Number one, it's obviously because of the Federal Reserve with the artificially low interest rates, but the severe underbuilding in America, and especially in California. I mean, try getting a building permit in some places of California. It's almost impossible. So I think if we have more savvy, smart business people influencing politics, I think we could solve a lot of the problems. But here is the Bayside Ferris wheel. It's looking beautiful tonight with the full moon. Anna says, is this near the beach? A little bit close to the beach, but not really. LWSI says the LED screen is translucent because the pixels are spaced far enough apart to see through, but close enough to create an image at a distance. Pixels are supported by the strips. I think I like that look a lot better because you could see into the arena, but when it's lit up, to your point, you can't, which is pretty interesting. Our pal RJ says, hola Tom from Colorado. Always good to see you, RJ. Happy Easter weekend. Hope you're doing well. Jonathan France says, that's why New York City collapsed after Bloomberg. Dutchman, welcome. Hey, Trace Roberts says, yes, affordable housing is greatly needed for senior citizens, disabled, and veterans. So that's another good point. Here's what I propose. So here's a big problem that I see, especially on Long Island. I know I'm streaming in Miami, but for those who've watched the stream a while, you guys know I'm from New York, a Long Islander. And here's a big issue. A lot of senior citizens on Long Island, obviously they have to live off of fixed incomes. So here's the issue. The property taxes on Long Island are absolutely egregious, insane. And this puts a lot of stress on our seniors and a lot of stress on our disabled veterans too that own property on Long Island. And unfortunately, due to the high taxes and property taxes, this has forced a lot of native New Yorkers to flee to tax havens, especially when they're retired because they can't afford the property taxes. So if you were a senior citizen, you're retired and you worked your entire life, you did the right thing, you paid off your house, and then at the end of the day, you still have a $7,000 to $10,000 property tax bill a year. I mean, you can't do it. It's impossible. So what I would propose, and let me know your guys' thoughts on this. Ooh, this is a good show. Oh, look at these guys. So what I would propose is that if you're over the age of 65, you can choose one piece of property that you own that's your primary residence, and you can live there tax-free for life. Because if you're living on a fixed income, it's hard enough as it is, and then to have to shell out $7,000 to $10,000 a year in New York for property taxes, that's going to drive a lot of people out. So my proposal would be, look, if you're retired and if you live in a single-family home, and that's your primary residence, we should not tax these people. That's my proposal. Because, it may not show up in the statistics, but a lot of people that I know in my neighborhood back on Long Island, they're either, number one, have already left, right? They retire and then move to places like Florida or the Carolinas where the property tax bills are a little bit less or almost non-existent in comparison to New York, or they're thinking of leaving. So let me know what you guys think about that. Lizzie Hatch says, I agree. Take me to the sea says, walks on Wall Street. Yes, sir, exactly. DJ number one says 65, no 60. Okay, so your proposal is anybody over the age of 60 shouldn't have to pay property taxes? Interesting. Let's see what other answers we got. Hey, Alex Lopez says, hey Tom, cheers from the 305. What's up, Alex? Good to see you, man. Thank you for joining the stream. Anna says, take, beautiful area. Good to see you, Anna. Estelle is here. Says, happy Easter weekend. Jose is here. Eyeglass Lady, the one and only. Good to see you, Eyeglass Lady. James, good to see you. Lena Sandoval. NMB045, what's up? Says, Twitter is for users who want to share ideas in business, politics, science, and sports. It's not for people to share their pet, family, or stories like Facebook. Yeah, and that's the reason why I think there's so much value to be had in Twitter. Twitter is, like, if anybody who's watching this channel right now and who's listening to this live stream, if you want the easiest way to immediately improve your quality of life, it's gonna sound crazy, but just open up a Twitter account and just dive in headfirst to financial Twitter. Because financial Twitter, FinTwit, is one of the only places in the world on the internet that you could have access to real fund managers, hedge funds, and billionaires, and that will actually probably respond to your tweets. So I've done so much networking on Twitter and met people in person from Twitter, it's insane. So the biggest ROI, I think, on the internet is just opening up a free Twitter account. Steven's like, I thought he was gonna say delete Twitter. Steven, I am such a fan of Twitter, and it's so horrible that the management of Twitter is so egregious because they've done such a poor job of monetizing the platform. Jeff says, which Twitter account should I follow? Well, if you follow me at Walks Wall Street, if you scroll through my feed, I retweet a lot of the people that I suggest to follow. But a good follow is a guy called Cubby Bears. He runs a mid-sized hedge fund. Also Jim Ropel, or James Ropel, which James Ropel is a good friend of mine. Smee Media says, yes, Twitter is about relationships and connections. DJ number one says, 2 jobs for 30 years to survive. I'm ready to retire at 60. Eyeglass Lady says, once retirees end property taxes, senior rents also rent should. Eyeglass Lady says, once one retires and property taxes, senior renters also rent should have to pay over cost of living index for rent. Jay says, I'm 65 and live in Ohio, and my property taxes are not high. Well, yeah, I mean, Jay, for you that's good, but on Long Island that's a whole other story. It's insanity. Elliot Wave Review says, I agree, Tom, and would add that health Twitter is just as good for diet and exercise advice on top of the line experts. From top of the line experts you would never be able to get an appointment with in real life. So, Elliot Wave Review, if you follow me on Twitter, could you send me some of the people that you follow in relation to fitness? I am a big fitness junkie, and I would love to connect with you on that. I feel like the camera is not in focus. Hey, Crazy H says, Tom, while you're there, if you're looking for good smoke, just ask any Haitian. They always had the best. Thank you, Crazy H. XXX is good night, everybody, /Tom. Happy Resurrection Day tomorrow. Jesus has risen. Well, thank you, XXX. And I hope you have a good one as well, my friend. And thank you for being here. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things we could do to improve the quality of life for our seniors. Because if you think about it, over the next 5 to 10 years, we are going to have an absolute tidal wave of retirees. And I think it's our job as Americans to try to make life as easy as possible it is for these people. And unfortunately, born and bred New Yorkers are being forced out of New York. I don't think anybody should be forced out of their homes based upon taxes from the government. I think it's really horrible. New York, we pay some of the highest taxes, and it doesn't seem like we get much representation. Hey, Cheryl says, hey Tom, good to see you, Cheryl. Jay says, I own a company and I still work to stay ahead of the game. Love that, Jay. Love to hear that, my friend. Love that. Design Ideas says, good evening, Tom. What about wish list data from Amazon and other companies as a future forecasting tool for investing in economic prediction? Interesting design ideas. SME Media says, I love Twitter chats. Anyone in the chat have a Twitter chat to recommend? So SME Media, I was thinking about, what's it called? I was thinking about starting a once a week Twitter Spaces. So maybe on some nights, let's say if I'm traveling and I can't stream, what I'll do is I'll just pop on Twitter Spaces and go live, and then I think it would make a good addition to the YouTube channel, because essentially if we go live on Twitter Spaces, you guys can also simultaneously come up and talk. So instead of just me reading the comments and reading the chat, you know, we could actually all have a real conversation back and forth, and I think that would be pretty cool. So if you guys want to do that, if you just want to follow at Walks Wall Street on Twitter, I may want to do that next Sunday night if you're interested. But now we are at Bayside Marketplace. Hey Jay, good to see you. Says, I'm in New York City and retired. I am 68 years old. Well, Jay, God bless you, and I hope you have a fantastic retirement, my friend. Gigi NYC says, I like that idea. Good to see you, Gigi. SME Media says, that would be great, Tom. Do a Twitter Spaces. I think we're going to do our first one on Sunday night, or next Sunday night. Jose says, great idea. XXX says, Twitter kicked me out. Why, dude? Actually, you don't have to answer that. Otto has just started following you on Twitter, Tom. Yeah, Otto, I'm not a shareholder of Twitter, but I think you can get the most value out of Twitter as the platform. But unfortunately, they've done a horrible job of monetization. And here's what I would propose if I was a member of the Twitter board. I would literally take sort of what you have on Instagram, but make it on its separate web page on Twitter. So it wouldn't have to interfere with your Twitter feed at all. It would just be a separate sort of feed on Twitter that mimics a lot of the e-commerce stuff on what's it called? IG. Excuse me. I gotta get some water. Maybe we'll have to do that. We'll stop into a CVS. Yeah, Eyeglass Lady says, I wasn't using my Twitter account until recently. Yeah, I mean, like I said, sometimes you'll tweet at like a famous person or a big money manager, and you'd be surprised. You could get into some debates with people that you could never even have access to before if you didn't have a Twitter, right? And it's not like that on Facebook. It's not like that on IG. It's not like people actually have conversations. So Twitter is made for conversation. I think the number one reason why is because they limit you to a certain amount of characters. Yeah, Hemplord says, social media made networking very easy for me. Agreed. Hemplords is easy access. Hey, Crazy H says, Tom, I hope one day you could come visit West Virginia. Hey, I would love to come visit West Virginia. I would love to come visit West Virginia. War Walker, I don't have a bad cough. It's just the remnants of being sick and talking for 3 hours without any water. Alan Wilson says, good restaurants we pass up. So where do you take us to CVS? Hilarious. Alan Wilson, the one and only. Good to see you, my friend. So this is Bayside Marketplace. Eyeglass Lady says, I am ready to drop Facebook. Yeah, I mean, the reason why I don't think Facebook is productive is because the vast majority of people that are active on Facebook are just fighting about politics, which I sort of detest. But with Twitter, you could literally, strike up a conversation with anybody. And since the amount of characters are limited, people will actually respond. But on Facebook, people write these paragraphs and they just drone on and on about nothing. And it's just about bickering and fighting. But Twitter, it actually forces you to be creative and think, because it limits the amount of characters. So you really have to sort of think about what you're going to say. Hey, Carter's here. Says, hey, Tom. What's up, Carter? Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you for being here. Bianca M. Welcome, Bianca. Says, hello, Tom. So I wonder what they're doing here, everybody, because it seems to be a lot of construction. Here, I'll show you guys. Seems to be a lot of construction here. Hey, Ahmad. Good to see you. Smee Media says, I've been on an ongoing Twitter thread that has been for 3 years. Wow. That's awesome. Penelope, you should try Twitter, I promise you. I would dump Facebook and open up a Twitter. Eyeglass Lady says, amen, Tom. Never looked at it that way, but it's true. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if you're limited to only 140 characters or 160 or whatever it is, people are forced to get their point across in a very clean and concise way, which I think helps with thought patterns and speech, right? Because on Facebook, it's just a bunch of people insulting each other, but on Twitter, it seems to be more productive, if that makes sense. And totally let me know if you guys disagree. Hey, Ken Glass is here. Good to see you, Ken. Always a pleasure to have you here. Dutchman, good to see you. Somewhat Knowledgeable Geek says, hello, Tom and all. Today is my birthday. I'm getting old. Hey, Somewhat Knowledgeable Geek. Happy birthday, and thank you for being here. And I hope you have a fantastic day, and I wish you many, many more. And thank you for sharing your birthday here with us on the Walks in Wall Street channel. Hey, Rob B, thank you so much for the $1 donation. It is much appreciated, Rob. And I appreciate you very much for the kind support. And Somewhat Knowledgeable Geek, have a very, very happy birthday. Hey, Bowser is here. Says, hey, Tom, what does Gemini credit card mean? So I actually signed up for that, so I'll let you guys know. But Gemini is the exchange that I use to buy Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and I actually did sign up to get that Gemini card, so I'll let you know. Melee says, good evening from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Hi, Tom. Happy Easter and Passover to you. You as well. Thank you so much for saying that. Melee, happy Easter and Passover to you as well. Teresa Roberts is tweet, rock on Elon Musk. Twitter should be paying me. I'm onboarding a lot of people. But I mean it. I think you're going to get the most value out of Twitter. Because I've noticed the people who are active on Twitter tend to be, I think the average, and not to sound snarky or anything, but if you look at the people who are most active on Twitter, I think if you ran an IQ test across all of them, I think you would probably have a higher average IQ. And I'm not just saying that, I really do believe that. Hey, Willix says, hi, Tom from Barbados. Welcome all of our viewers from Barbados. Love that. Jack Tripper, good to see you. Psychics is the more you interact on Twitter, the algorithm kind of helps you find more people in your network. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. So I think a lot of Bayside is under construction. DJ number one says, damn, I'm opening a Twitter account now. You should. You should. If you want to learn a lot about finances, there's actually a lot of very, very good hedge fund managers that are very successful that are active on Twitter all the time. Steven, nice. Yeah, Steven, I try to stay away from the politics on Twitter. I mainly only deal with, what's it called, finance on Twitter. So we'll try to go over near the Ferris wheel. Seems to be a lot of people out tonight. I think we may run into a dead zone over here. So if the stream goes out, we may just have to restart it because there usually is a dead zone here. DJ Mike, what's up, DJ Mike? So I'll show you the skyline of downtown Miami from Bayside. Hey, Florida Life 22 says subscribe, everybody. Thank you, Florida Mike. If you guys are enjoying the stream, feel free to hit the like button. DJ Mike says, Tom, people out here at Queens Center Mall. What's up? Mr. Braden, good to see you, Mr. Braden. Hey, Jancy says, good evening, Tom. Hello from Pennsylvania. Happy Easter. War Walker, I think you and Sunshine After Rain to hold it down. Penelope, good to see you. Welcome. So I think we'll head out because there is a lot of people over here. Eyeglass Lady says Florida is definitely vibrant.
Oh yeah, they were.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot more people here, even more than the spring breakers. And I was here for spring break too, and it seemed like there were a lot of people here, but it seems like there's even more people here now, which is good. It's good for economic activity in the area, for sure. Hey, Dan McLaren, welcome. Hey, Jamie says, Tom, I'll be in Miami at the end of May. Let me know. Let me know if you're around Brickell. Let me know if you're around Brickell when you're here. I may be here, well, end of May. I'm not sure. I may be in New York. We'll see. Mets fan, good to see you. Hey, Lewis is here. Says, hey, Tom, good evening. What's up? Michelle McGraw, Cynthia Beal. Welcome. Hey, Marty Lewis says, hey, Tom, happy Easter. Thank you, Marty Lewis. Happy Easter to you, too. Hope you're doing well, Marty Lewis. So Marty Lewis, I actually was just about to go swimming today, and I thought of you. I was like, should I go swimming today? But then I'm like, no, I'm just gonna take it easy and take a rest. So I pretty much just spent the entire day reading and taking a break. I appreciate it, Michelle McGraw. Thank you. John K. says, great view. Yeah, I mean, it's very good that there's a lot of people out because that means things are open. This is great. Coconuts grown in your lawn. Yeah, so pretty soon I'm actually going to have an avocado tree at my house as well, which I'm pretty excited about. So I have coconuts, mangoes, and then the next step is avocados, but that may be in about a year. War Walker says, be careful about the copyright. Yeah, I mean, pretty much every stream we do gets copyrighted. I'm not really too worried about it, but I do appreciate it, War Walker, very, very much. Cynthia Beal says, Tom, get a papaya tree and a lemon tree. So here's what I got so far. I have one coconut tree, a mango tree, but I really want to get an avocado tree. So one of my neighbors, I was actually just talking to my neighbor. He's renting a single family home on our block, but the owner is going to demolish the single family home and actually build a multi-family unit property. And they have 2 avocado trees they're going to tear down. So I'm like, dude, if you're going to tear those down, if you can possibly excavate those trees or whatever you call it, I'm not sure what the term is, and plant them in my yard, I'm like, I'll take them. Hey, Anthony Tripp is like, get a money tree, I know. Penelope, good to see you. Strider, is this your house by the beach? If so, are you concerned about hurricanes? So my house is not by the beach. Well, it is. It's about 3 miles from the ocean, but it's not in a flood zone. And I am concerned about hurricanes, but that's just the way of life down here. You always have to be concerned about the hurricanes. But then again, on Long Island, where I'm from, we got decimated by Hurricane Sandy. I'm not sure if there's any New Yorkers here, but we got absolutely hammered by Hurricane Sandy. So I'm definitely well versed in natural disasters, unfortunately. But my homeowner's insurance here is insanely expensive. I think I pay about $4,200 a year just in the homeowner's insurance on my house. It's insanity. DJ number 1 says, Tom, move to Sarasota, much happier if you could afford to move. No, I want to be here mainly because I work in enterprise tech sales. And there's a lot of tech companies here that I want to build a network. But maybe down the line I'll buy a property in Sarasota. But I think my next property is not going to be in Florida. It's probably going to be in Denver or on Long Island, New York. So either Denver, Colorado or Long Island. because Denver is also a pretty big tech town too. There's a very notable cybersecurity company that I like a lot. I was actually going to go work for them. It's called Ping Identity, ticker symbol PING, and they actually specialize in identity and access management software, or IAM, and they're located in Denver. Yeah, DJ number one says Denver would be fun. Also, they have very, I'm probably going to have some investments in the marijuana space, and I think Denver has the best laws in relation to that. Arturo Flores, I am looking for a retirement home in Miami. I mean, the thing about the Miami market now is crazy expensive. But hopefully with interest rates going up, prices of single-family homes and condos will come down, but we'll see. Well, that 10-year Treasury yield, I think, is about 2.8 or 2.9%. And for the first time since 2011, the 30-year Treasury note is now, what, 5%? So if you're going to get a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, you know, it's probably going to cost you 5%, which is still historically low, but, you know, hopefully that'll knock prices down at least a little bit. Hopefully that'll allow you a chance to get in. Somewhat knowledgeable geeks, as I could see myself living in Florida in the future. It's not perfect, but what place is truly perfect? Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think the number one thing for me is I want to set up a living situation in New York and in Florida. And the sooner I could do that and build that infrastructure, I think the better. All right, let's head over to Brickell. Hey, Cosmonaut. This is Tom. Are you going to the Heat game tomorrow? I am not. I didn't know there was a Heat game tomorrow. Hey, Donna O says, try dealing with tornadoes in Texas. Not fun. Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, I mean, so to your point, Donna, you know, I think you have to weigh the pros and cons of everything. And I think as a New Yorker, there's always this fight between, oh, New York City's the best, oh, Miami's the best. I don't really look at it like that. The way I look at it is like an investor. I'm not emotionally attached to any city. It's where am I going to garner the best ROI? And what I've concluded is that I'm going to garner the best ROI in both cities. So if I could spend about 50% of my time fostering my existing relationships with clients in New York and then building an additional client base here in Miami, that's going to be the most lucrative opportunity set for me. I don't care where it is. I think you can make money in any. Just get so turbocharged. They're like, oh, Miami's terrible. I hate a city full of liberals, and I hate de Blasio, and I hate all these people. Like, I get it. New York has its problems. I get it. Miami has its problems. But you got to sometimes put a lot of that stuff aside and just look at the positives of the place and weigh your risk and reward profile. Anthony Tripp says, you're not in New York, then you're out of town. Good to see you, Anthony. NYC Rich, what's up, man? Good, long time no see. Good to see you, Rich. Hope you're doing well. Nick Rock says, you convinced me to join Twitter. Very cool. Well, hopefully we can connect on Twitter. Jay says, hey, I'm going in tomorrow. When you own a company, you never get a day off. That's true. Well, I respect that, Jay, a lot. Definitely have a lot of respect for you. You know, small businesses are the backbone of this country, so we got to do everything we can to support them. Yeah, NMB 045 says wherever you go, there will be problems. So useless to think about that. That's true. I think just the biggest thing is as you sort of grow a net worth, right? As maybe you get your first job out of college, the most important thing is, but as you increase your income, collect assets, you want to make sure you reduce your tax burden as much as possible. And by reducing a tax burden, it actually keeps a lot of politicians in their place. Because for me, and I've sort of said my stance on this multiple times, I don't mind paying high taxes. I really don't. I mean, I was raised in New York and I spent the majority of my tech sales career in New York, and I've paid a boatload of taxes. Here's the problem I have. If I'm going to pay 50% of my income, which is essentially what I was paying, in taxes to New York, and I have to step over heroin needles, homeless people, I have to read about people getting attacked and slashed on the subways, shootings happening on the subways, well then what am I paying for, right? But if they actually gave me a proposal to say, look, you're going to pay 50% in taxes, but the subways are going to be totally revamped. It's going to be safe for everybody. There's not going to be any racial crimes or any turbocharged crimes against Asian Americans in the city. Well, then I'd say, yeah, I'm on board. Who wouldn't want that? But I mean, we pay so much in taxes and the subways are horrible. And you could say the same thing about Miami. There's a lot of gun violence here. There's a lot of problems. But the thing is, the tax burden is not even to be compared. But I don't have a problem with paying high taxes at all. I think that's where I differ from a lot of conservatives. But I just want representation with those taxes. Penelope, good to see you. Hey, Sanjib says, hey Tom, what's up Sanjib? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're good. Honest as the news doesn't paint the best picture of Florida, it's good to see people say positive things about the state. Yeah, Florida definitely has its problems, but I think it's going to get better over time. Kurt Flirt says that's the thing. There are no real incentives to bring you to New York City. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, the subways are so gross. Like, it's just not modern. It's not a modernized subway system. And with the amount of taxes we pay, we should be riding around on rocket ships underground. But I think the biggest issue with the New York City subways is the MTA has a very strong union. And if we were to automate away a lot of those like jobs, obviously people wouldn't be too happy. But just look at a lot of the subway systems in Japan. I mean, look at how modern it is. Look at the subway system in Korea. Absolutely beautiful. And in America, this is the greatest country in the world. We have the technology to bring about innovation to our subways and our cities, but I think it's just the political corruption. Somewhat knowledgeable geek says Long Island Railroad was always cleaner and felt like it higher caliber people riding it. Yeah, but the Long Island Railroad is a mess too. It's so expensive. I pay like $400 for a monthly ticket just to ride the LIRR. It's insane. And the Long Island Railroad is insanely corrupt, ridiculously corrupt. NMB 045 says Montreal subway system I think is great too. Hey, NSYNC, good to see you. John W says move to Jersey, take the path instead. So John W, during the pandemic, I actually spent a lot of my time in Hoboken. Regardless of what anybody says about Hoboken, I know a lot of New Yorkers talk bad about it. I actually really enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed Hoboken, New Jersey. Excuse me. Nick Rock says Japan's public transportation is immaculate. There's a level of respect between the employees and the riders. And I think a lot of the stations are extremely clean as well in Japan. John W. says Hoboken is awesome, I agree. Kurt Flirt says I like Hoboken a lot. So the best thing about Hoboken is the views you get in New York City. It's just unmatched. Hey, Stephanie is here, says Hoboken has a lot of great eatery. Indeed it does. Hey, Fidel Cashflow says, Tom, I feel the same way about DC. I live in DC and we pay a lot in taxes, but everybody lowers their standards just because. It's obviously a very democratic city, so no comparison. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. I think a lot of younger individuals, like the Generation Z, I think because you guys know, I'm very transparent, I tend to be more conservative, but I think the number one way I differ from traditional conservatives is I honestly do not mind paying high taxes if I get something in return, right? Like that's all I care about. Like, I'd rather live in a city that is awesome and that there's so many cool things going on. I mean, New York is like that, but with the increased crime and the dirtiness in the subway, I mean, for the amount of tax revenue that city takes in, I mean, that place should be just immaculate. But, you know, I think it'll get better. I tend to be an optimistic person, so we'll see. Hey, John Sorley is here. What's up, John? Eyeglass Lady says public transportation in Taiwan is immaculate based on AK's pre-pandemic trip. Yeah, a lot of those type of transportation systems are fantastic. Hey, Dutchman says, Tom, I stayed in Secaucus, New Jersey and took the bus to the Port Authority to walk around, never needed a car. Love that. That's another place that is not too great, the Port Authority bus terminal. MTA's debt is around 40 billion and is higher than several nations around the world. Wow. Jonathan Francis, Edgewater, New Jersey, love Edgewater. Kurt Flirt too says right now everything should be better in New York City, the subways, the airports, and the buses. Agreed. Hey, Alex says I consider myself a liberal, but I have to agree. Yeah, and I mean, look, New York has always been a democratic city, always. Like, I have no problem, like, I'm not one of those people. I think there's a lot of people out there that are very polarizing, that are like, oh, libtards and all these conservative Trumpers and they're idiots. I don't really think like that. I mean, and I think a lot of younger people don't. But if you can make me a deal, I'm all about doing deals. If you can make me a deal and say, look, this is how much it's going to cost, and we're going to provide you X, Y, Z, the subway is going to be safe, it's going to be clean. Because, I mean, I know some people that they don't, like, I have good friends in New York City, and they're like, Tom, I don't let my wife and kids commute on the subway after 9 p.m. by themselves. I mean, in a city like New York, you shouldn't have to take that precaution. So if you can draw me out a proposal that says, hey, Tom, we're going to take 50% of your income, but your quality of life is going to freaking go through the stratosphere, I'd say deal. And I've done it. I've lived in New York. I've paid the ridiculous taxes, but I've kept seeing the quality of life decline. So I'm like, why am I paying this? And you have people living on the streets and harassing people. The homeless people aren't getting the help that they need. You know, there just has to be some sort of corruption. There just has to be. All right, so where are we, everybody? And this is the Intercontinental Hotel and Citigroup. Home now, sending a virtual hug, feel better. Cynthia Martinez, good to see you. Strider 1239 says we need blockchain.
That's gone, right?
I just lost your comment. Yes, so Strider says we need blockchain to track the tax spending. I agree 100%. The lobby in this building is amazing. Hey, Alice. Says, hey, Tom, happy Easter. What's up, Alice? Good to see you. I think this is a real estate company in here. Anthony Tripp, good to see you. No, I'm not. Miami. I think we checked it out on last night's stream. Maybe we'll have time to go here, go there tomorrow. So if you guys are enjoying the stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video, but tomorrow we are going to do our Markets a Look Ahead stream. So it is going to be an action-packed week on Wall Street. The majority of the stocks in the Dow Jones Industrial Average are reporting earnings. So I believe we have IBM reporting earnings, Johnson & Johnson's, Traveler, and American Express. And the interesting thing about this earnings season is that a lot of analysts are all across the board, or all over the place. You know, I was looking at a lot of the earnings estimates for a lot of these companies, and I think this is the one quarter where the vast majority of analysts do not disagree. So there's not a consensus argument here about how companies are going to perform. And I think the reason for this is because a lot of the tech companies, a lot of the very high beta, high growth tech companies are going up against very, very difficult comparables, right? So you think about this time last year, we were in a global pandemic where a lot of these tech companies and a lot of these tech products. So has a lot of that revenue been pulled forward? I think we may see that. So I think we're going to see some companies have a lot of earnings misses, but I think Google, Microsoft, or I should say Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, I think those are going to be the type of companies that beat. And some of the smaller tech companies could have a little bit of a hard time here, but we will cover that on tomorrow's stream. And if you want to read my full earnings outlook report, if you type !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link to the Behind the Street newsletter, which is a free financial newsletter that I write every single week for all of the viewers of the stream. And we will be doing a complete and total comprehensive earnings outlook. So you do not want to miss that. Dan McLaren says, Tom, I agree. Any urban center with higher diversity collects so much money per the amount of area they maintain that they should have top-notch quality. I agree. Hey, Teresa Moss says, anybody has advice for a career in translating documents? So Teresa, please join our Discord. We talk about careers and everything a lot in the Discord. So if you guys want to network for getting jobs in tech, for getting jobs in investment banking, trading, healthcare, anything, please join our Discord at Walks Wall Street in the link in the description. And we'd be more than happy to connect with you and help each other out as a community here. But obviously, I think the biggest highlight in the earnings season will be on Wednesday. Wednesday, we have Tesla. Elon Musk's company is going to be reporting earnings. And I have a feeling that the vast majority of the questions are probably going to have nothing to do with Tesla. It's going to have to do with Elon Musk trying to take over Twitter. So we will definitely have a very immersive stream on Wednesday. Michael says, do you have plans to travel around Florida? I do. Hey, Faith is here. What's up, Faith? So this is Miami Tower here. Dieter Pohl says the jobs are in Miami. There are some jobs in Miami. There are some jobs in Miami, yes. Anthony says yes. I knew Avenue C was rough for a while. Sammy is here, says hello Tom and happy Easter and Palm Sunday. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Faith is here, good to see us, Me Media. Welcome, welcome everybody. Psychic says always look forward to the newsletter. You are so articulate. Thank you. Much, much appreciated. So we're gonna walk across the water here to Brickell. Dean says, why are you hanging in Florida, Tom? I live here, Dean. XXX says, I'm gonna go. Bye, everybody. Good night, Tom. Thank you, XXX. Thanks for joining, and please have a fantastic weekend. Michael says, do you buy NFTs? I do not buy NFTs, but I was at the 2022 Miami Bitcoin 2022 conference where I actually had a press pass. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, please check out my entire write-up in the Behind the Street newsletter. So if you type !news, NEWS, you could sign up for free to read all my thoughts about the 2022 Bitcoin conference. So here we are at the Whole Foods on Southeast 2nd Street. Bob says, Tom, get some water. We may have to get some water. Wow, Anthony says, I worked at the Strand bookstore in the 70s. I love Strand, man. That's one of my favorite bookstores ever. So check out this view of Miami Tower, or the City National Bank building. Hey, Dutchman says, have you had dinner yet? I have not had dinner yet, but dinner is waiting for me when I come home. Patricia Ivory says, tell me why your viewers are so negative towards New York, really? So we're really not. I love New York. I mean, I live in New York. I was from New York, raised in New York State. I love it. But unfortunately, there are some problems now that I think we're going to work through. And I'm one of those people, I like to talk about those problems, but also support the current administration that is in power at the current moment, which is the Adams administration. So I think if we give him some time, I think he's going to make a lot of changes and change things for the better. But there are a lot of problems right now in New York City. Not to say there's not problems anywhere else in the world, but as a New Yorker, I've noticed these things throughout my life. But I'll always be in New York. I'll always love New York, and I'll always have investments there, and I'll always have employment there as well. Raymond Martinez says, any thoughts of moving from Berkeley, California to Austin, Texas? I got a job offer in Austin. Well, dude, that's awesome. Congratulations. So if you got a job offer, I would definitely, depending on how lucrative it is, I would definitely take it. You know, Austin is a big tech town. So I would definitely give it a try. Anna says it's nice that you can work in both states. It definitely is. I'm very, very fortunate and very thankful that I can work in both New York City and Miami. And I think that's probably because I work in tech. I think the remote work is probably a little bit more economical. But Raymond Martinez, congratulations on the job offer. It's fantastic. Paul, I will be at Miami Tech Week. Indeed, I will. I will be at Miami Tech Week. which is starting on Monday. DM says, I am a native New Yorker. I have lived in other cities, but always return to New York. Same here. Yeah, DM, I am a big fan of New York. So I think I mainly want to have 3 main headquarters. Number 1, New York. Number 2, Miami. And number 3 is to be determined. Probably going to be Denver. But we'll see. Faith, I'm okay. I am okay. Thank you for asking. So this is the Epic building. Penelope says Tennessee. You know, Tennessee is actually on the list. But the last time I went to Nashville, really the only part I liked about Nashville was Vanderbilt. I really enjoyed Vanderbilt University. Loved Vandy. So here we have the Aston Martin building here. Yeah, War Walker, I know. But I do appreciate the concern. I actually really do. Serious. Dean says, Tom, don't go to Tennessee. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be New York, Miami, and Denver. I think number 1, because New York City has the most talent, right? It has some of the best schools in the world, some of the best schools in the nation are in New York City for a lot of talent. Miami, obviously, for the climate and a lot of Latin American talent and a lot of good politics for startups and business. NMB045 says, Tom, if you have European stocks, pay attention to the French presidential election. Yeah, I mean, I have very little exposure to emerging markets. Very little. Because I think there's a lot of turmoil across the world. And I think the safest place right now is the United States. But next week, we're actually going to have some key housing data. Let's just cross the street here. We're going to cover earnings on the channel. We're going to cover the housing market on the channel and much more. I'll give you one shot of the Marriott building here. So with the 30-year mortgage rate increasing to 5%, the week ahead we'll check in on the housing markets. On Monday, we'll gauge builders' perspectives on current sales strength and the 6-month outlook of buyer traffic levels. So we're going to hear from the home builders. We're also going to hear from the Census Bureau's housing starts and building permits for March. And housing starts and building permits are extremely important to look for. I think it's a leading economic indicator because to get a permit to build real estate, it's actually quite expensive. So the thought process there is that if there's a lot of housing starts or a lot of housing permits, that means developers are very bullish on the housing market. But if there's not a lot of new housing starts or not a lot of new permits, that could be seen as very negative for the housing market overall. Excuse me, I gotta get some water. Cindy says, why would you like Denver? So Denver is a big tech town and it's very big for private equity deals and venture capital. So I actually was interviewing at a company called Ping Identity, P-I-N-G Identity, and they specialize in identity and access management software. So they're a competitor with Okta, which is another big name in IAM. And I believe SailPoint, talking about Thoma Bravo, And Thoma Bravo is a private equity firm that was founded by Puerto Rican billionaire Orlando Bravo. I think they actually just closed a massive deal with SailPoint Technologies, which is another cybersecurity competitor. So I think the cybersecurity space is going to continue to be on a tear for the foreseeable future. And there's a big cybersecurity presence in Denver, Colorado. Hey, Andy S is here. What's up, Andy S? Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for being here. Andy Tripp says Pittsburgh is nice, better than Denver. Yeah, so I was thinking about Pittsburgh, actually, not gonna lie, because one of my good buddies is from there. But I want to diversify based on geography as well. You know, Pittsburgh is too close to New York. So check out that moon over Miami tonight. And let me know if you guys could hear the water too. Honest is Chicago. Nah, no way, Chicago. Paul says, which state do you think is the best state to work in tech? Well, now I think that could be considered any state, right? Because with the introduction of working remote via the pandemic, you could essentially be in any state you want and really work at any company. So obviously it has been California. The leader in tech has been California, obviously with Silicon Valley and everything. But I think now that everybody has essentially committed to this idea of working remotely and working from home, I think you could probably make that thesis for anywhere now. But what are your thoughts on that? Andy S, what's up, Andy? Good to see you. Says Chicago is cool. It is pretty big. There's a big finance presence in Chicago. Big finance presence. Wow, check out this boat here. So maybe we'll be able to see some fish in the water. Hey, Pacific Desert Raid, my good friend. Good to see you, Pacific Desert Raid. I hope you're well. Always good to see you. Raymond Martinez, I do think that the Carolinas have a potential to be an amazing leader in the technology space and also the financial services space too. So I think one of our good friends, Ebit Da, works in the finance as an investment banker at BAML, Bank of America. And speaking of Bank of America, they are reporting earnings next week. And I think Bank of America is the one bank that is posed or positioned the best for this interest rate environment. Hey, James Tiger, good to see you, my friend. Says they are getting more high tech in West Loop of Chicago, but it's more finance in Chicago. Yeah, our good friend Ken Griffin from Citadel Securities is big in Chicago. So I was reading an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal, and Ken Griffin from Citadel Securities is starting to make the most amount of investment into political donations he's ever had in his career. Hey, Abdullah is here. This is a beautiful view. What's up, Abdullah? Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good Easter weekend. Here, let me give you one more view of across the water here. And I'll give you one more shot at the moon. Penelope, good to see you. That was a massive, massive boat. I mean, a massive plane. Faith, thank you for joining the stream tonight. Faith, good to see you. Cynthia Beal says, I did not know Orlando Bravo was Puerto Rican. Shame on me. Yeah, I mean, Orlando Bravo, I mean, he is just a brilliant, brilliant guy. I was so impressed with Orlando Bravo's keynote speech at the Bitcoin 2022 conference. I mean, that guy is just a business rock star. I mean, I learned so much from him. Check out this clock here. So Ward Walker, where is this? This is the Epic Hotel, I'd assume, right? Hey, Michael Claudia says the whole place is beautiful. It just oozes money and wealth. Actually, it throws it in your face. Very interesting, very interesting observation, man. But if you guys want to read a little bit more about the Bitcoin 2022 conference and receive our free financial newsletter that I write for everybody, if you scan the QR code, it'll bring you to the webpage of the Behind the Street newsletter. And I will be sending this out, a complete earnings report, a complete earnings look ahead. We'll be covering Tesla's earnings, we'll be covering Johnson & Johnson, IBM, the major companies in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, such as Travelers and the like. It's going to be a big week on Wall Street, so we are going to be having a longer than normal Behind the Street newsletter. So feel free to scan the QR code, sign up if you are new. And I want to thank everybody for signing up because we hit 800 readers, which is insane. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to read my equity research. It is a financial-based newsletter where we mainly talk about not only US equities markets, but emerging markets and fixed income. So if you guys are interested in that, please scan the QR code to stay up to date. And you will be on the mailing list and you will receive it once a week. But we are running, and I do need the phone to get on the bus. So just another quick announcement for the channel. We are going to try to start a pilot program for an After the Bell stream on Fridays. So essentially what that's going to look like is Friday after the market closes, we will be having a stream in the office recapping the market for the week, where we will be covering the major equities, the major earnings moves, and that will be sort of a collaborative stream. So I'm trying to find the appropriate platform to do that on. It will be streamed live from YouTube, but I want to find a specific software where you guys, the viewers, will be able to actually come up, sort of like a Zoom conference call, and talk with us and have sort of like a Walk Some Wall Street happy hour on Fridays. So we may do the first edition of the Walk Some Wall Street happy hour this Friday. It's going to be about a 30-minute stream, do a quick market recap, and then have 15-20 minutes to sort of talk and hang out. So if you want to be there for that, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you are new, and guys, most importantly, have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Please enjoy it. Time goes by way too fast. So make sure you cherish every single moment, and we will see everybody right back here tomorrow. Well, maybe not tomorrow, because tomorrow's Easter. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But everybody, all moderators, thank you for joining. Penelope, BL, Brian, Bob, Abdullah, thank you so much. Dutchman, Roy S, Abdullah, Sylvia, thank you. Pacific Desert Raid, Gons, thank you. DJ number 1, Bob, thank you so much. Eyeglass Lady, thank you, thank you. DM, I appreciate you for joining. The ABX Girl, have a great day. Andy, have a great Fantastic Frankie, thank you so much. Faith, I appreciate you very much. Samantha R, all of our moderators into the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there is always a bull market somewhere, and you just need to know where to look. And I'll see you all in the next one. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, you could follow @WalksWallStreet, and I'll see you guys there. Have a good one.